Welcome to another episode. In today's tutorial, we're going to be taking an image like this with shower glare and getting your own reflection out of there and turning it into this. So let's bring these images into Lightroom. I'm going to show you how to edit them. Let's get started. All right, so once you have your layers into Lightroom, we are going to select these 3 layers. We're going to be working with our ambient layer, our one flash pop, and then we need one on the other side to eliminate ourselves out of the scene here. So let's highlight all 3 of these, edit in, open as layers in Photoshop. Once you have all 3 layers loaded into Photoshop, we're going to just check here to make sure everything looks good and they're in the correct order. Remember, you want your ambient layer at the top. So all we're going to do is simply shut the ambient layer off. So we're working with these 2 images. So what I'm going to do is create a layer mask and then hide it. So we're going to click on this image, click on this layer mask here, click on that, Command I to invert that, come up here to my paintbrush, make sure it's white is selected over here. I can increase the flow a little bit, but you know what? For this tutorial, I'm going to keep it at 5 because I know we're going to need that for the ambient layer. Yes, you might have to brush a little bit more. Just make sure you brush completely out, eliminate yourself out of there. And now we have to eliminate ourselves out of the mirror here. And I believe this layer, since I was out of the mirror, that'll work just like that. And just keep brushing. I like to keep the flow at about 5% for this type of work because it's too difficult for me to work with drastic changes. It's a lot easier to feather in everything when you're working with just the flow at a lower percentage. So don't worry about the ceiling being too hot right there. We're going to be able to correct that with the ambient layer. And yes, it's not perfect. You can still see a reflection of my tripod, but I'll show you how to fix that at the very end. All right, so now all we got to do is toggle back on our ambient layer, come up here, make sure it's selected, and create another layer mask and hide it. Make sure our selector is on white. And now we can just start slowly and very gently. Now, this is why I like to have the flow at 5% because you see how subtle these changes are. We want to make this look like it blends in perfectly. So now we know there was a window over here. We can start painting in some more of that natural light coming in. And here's another reason why I love to shoot with lights off is because we are not battling with different types of light. Like if, for example, if this table light was on, now we would be blending in back in some orange light. You might be able to use luminosity mode. It doesn't work for me every single time, so I just stick with lights off when possible. And let's paint this ceiling. I know we didn't have a ton of ambient light coming in just from that window, but notice the dark shadow right here, and this is from when I was standing over here, this flash pop next to the toilet here. So we're able to just blend that in, and we can get that floor back, just the ambient layer of the floor, blend that in so it's not such a harsh line between the shadow and the natural light. And look at that, that looks pretty good. I like that. So we're gonna right click, come down here to flatten image. I'm going to go Command J, that duplicates the layer. And I'm going to show you how to eliminate some more of these reflections. I like to use the patch tool here. So what I'm going to do is just highlight, draw around this leg. This seems like it's kind of noticeable. And all we're going to do is just slide it over, making sure that my grout lines right there kind of line up and let go, and it magically disappears. So you're not going to be able to eliminate all the reflections, and part of me doesn't really care if we do. So it looks like maybe this is a little too dark right here. I am going to, and here's another way to, kind of play around with the lighting. We're going to come up here to the dodge tool, and just ever so slightly, we're just going to brush in and make that little area just a little bit brighter. You don't want to go too overboard. It'll start to look fake. We toggle that on and off. That looks pretty good to me. Let's flatten this image. Command S to save it and bring it back into Lightroom. Okay, it's back into Lightroom. I'm just going to hit it with my interior final bump. Adjust that exposure a little bit. Bring down the blacks maybe a little bit more. And there you go. That's how you eliminate your self out of a reflection. And that's going to separate you from the rest of the photographers out there. There's probably very few realtors that are going to be even taking the time to do this themselves, let alone learn how to do this. So if you can provide images for them that look like this, that's going to one-up yourself in the competition, and it's also going to benefit the realtor because they're going to be able to get more clients that way. Sellers are going to appreciate realtors who are using professional photographers, and the smart realtors are going to catch on to that and start using you. So learn the basic fundamentals of Flambient real estate photography, but every single house that you walk into is going to have some trouble areas, and you're going to want to be able to have the tools and the knowledge and the skill to be able to tackle those tough situations, and that's going to get you more and more work. I thank you for watching. I hope this tutorial helped you, and I hope you learned something today. Have a wonderful day. God bless. Bye-bye.